Hi there, welcome to the archives. This one is specifically for Sam George and the Ghanaian community. I want to address the comments I heard publicly because I think it's important, at least for me, because this is literally the profession I was in before I went to do my PhD. It's a topic that's still of interest to me. Sam George. Sam Narti George. It says he's a Ghanaian politician. I'm reading off of Ecosia, okay? It says that Sam George is a Ghanaian politician and a lawyer. He is a member of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, who is a ruling party currently right now in Ghana. He defeated E.T. Mensah to represent the party in the 2016 parliamentary elections for the Ningo Pram constituency. So that's his area. So recently I saw a clip on Instagram from one of the LGBTQ networks in Ghana. And long story short, his rhetoric was, and I've seen this in another place. I saw this in the news recently. One of the African countries is also trying to get rid of HIV prevention education because they think it becomes an entryway into promoting and accepting homosexuality, right? It's a homophobic rhetoric that's, again, deeply, at least in the Ghanaian context, deeply tied with religion. So the Christians, the Muslim leaders, and even the traditional leaders usually unite to say, no, we do not, our culture does not promote LGBTQ anything. And so because our culture does not promote LGBTQ anything, therefore HIV funding is not as important. And furthermore, it's being used to promote the gay agenda, right? So Sam George's comment was basically, people from the Ghana AIDS Commission are meeting up with gay for Lube. I think I need to, as somebody again this isn't my expertise. Like I haven't, just because I haven't been professionally in the field for the last decade doesn't mean I don't know what I'm talking about. And because I assume I don't know what I'm talking about, today I'm going to come with some fact sheets. Okay, I'll get into this. But I know what I'm talking about, even to a certain extent, because this is what I did professionally. My first quote-unquote professional job after I left the call center was working with an AIDS service organization in Peel Region. I was a capacity builder. I was out doing workshops, teaching students, teaching elders, teaching seniors in youth detention centers, in schools. I don't even think they go into schools now. I was at 8th Committee of Ottawa, doesn't really go into any of the public schools because of funding and a whole lot of issues because of province, we can't talk about it. Sam George is one of those people who would say you don't even talk about it. Don't teach the kids anything about sex. And because you're promoting it. That logic doesn't work. Just because you don't talk about something doesn't mean it's still not there. But the thing about some of these men is because sometimes they live double lives. All of us can live double lives. But in some of these cases, which I'm going to get into, now I'm speaking specifically of down low men. I'm not saying Sam, don't, and Koka said, Sam George down low. I will point, however, to Angel Maxine's page just this week. Angel Maxine is a Ghanaian transgender artist out of Ghana. One of the first out trans women. Musician, artist. She was on the front page of one of the Ghanaian newspapers just this week with connection with Sam George and another parliamentary politician, Reverend Bibi Menka. Okay? So this same Sam George was connected with a trans woman, and there's nothing wrong with that. But my thing is, sometimes these politicians, any of us, again, can live double lives. So when you can't tell yourself the truth, or you lie to people, and lying is such a part of your person, your character, then you cannot have honest conversations. And sometimes these conversations that are not honest can be deadly and dangerous, like this narrative he's spreading. Because here's the thing I need people like Sam George to understand. This talk is really mostly hurting Ghana forma. Yeah, because including obviously the LGBT community will as well, but mostly people in that community is organizing. They are talking about HIV. They're more likely to get tested. They're more likely to use PrEP, right? Let me go to this. Now I'm going to go to the National HIV/AIDS Awareness Day. So I went to an event this year. I've already talked about it here, but I want to return to this. I'll pull up the Ghana AIDS Commission stats soon, but let me just stick to an Ontario context. So I'm in Canada. I'm in Ottawa, which is the nation's capital. Remember that here in Ontario, Black people all over, and it's just Ghana for blacks all over, we make up 5.5% of the population. However, 37.8% of first-time HIV diagnoses are those who identify as Black. For first-time HIV diagnosis, Black women are 71.5%. 71.5%. This is in Ontario, where you would think we're more civilized, quote unquote. We have more education. Our public health actually does something. We have all of these AIDS organizations. This 71%, it's still Black women. Sam George, what he is saying, this is how we get there. Because there's an assumption that heterosexual women don't get HIV. A gay for us. Sorry to those outsiders. This is a conversation with my people right now. You can't say gay for. Lube. You need lubricant. Lube is not about kinky. Lube is public health. Lube is public health. What are you talking about? Because it's also science and just logic. I hate that Diddy ruined lube for us. Because lube is actually a very important part of a healthy sexuality and a healthy sex life. Especially as we age, and women sometimes tend to be more dry. Or if you are having intercourse with a penis with an anus, you want to make sure that it's as lubricated as possible, so there's less friction. Less friction means less abrasions. Less abrasions means less cuts. Less cuts means less chances that if you do have HIV, it's going to transmit to the other person. Lube is public health. It's common sense. The more slippery you make it, the less friction, the less likely you're going to have tearing. If you're going to have tearing anyways, you want to minimize it. Best to wear a condom. And then use lots of lube so then it just feels the same. You can't tell the difference. Again, I can have these conversations publicly because this is the work I do and did professionally. Just because an employer isn't paying me right now doesn't mean the sexual health educator in me just leaves. This is something that I'm very passionate about, right? So I know what I'm talking about. Lube is public health. If you don't want to use lube, you don't have to use lube, but lube is going to minimize some of those risks. Which is why Ghana AIDS Commission is meeting with, I hope, the whole population. I hope it's not just the LGBT community they're giving lube to. You should be giving it to you, Sam George, and your wife. Because same thing there. The less friction, the less likely you're going to have abrasions. You don't want abrasions and cuts. Because if you are HIV positive, that increases the risk of transmitting it. But what happens here, so 71%, why is it affecting black women? Well, for a whole number of different reasons, right? But if we're talking about in a heterosexual context, between a married, I'm now speaking to the Christians, the Muslims, the traditional folks. Marriage, you say, is between a man and a wife. You're man and a wife. Even there, sometimes what happens is if one of the other party contracts HIV, maybe through a blood transfusion, maybe one of them was born with HIV, right? Because we forget that sometimes people are just born with it especially from the previous past. Now you can't pass it on because we have medication and women can breastfeed and not pass on HIV, right? Obviously you would want to minimize during the delivery and birth, all of that around some of that, but the chances that a mother can pass is very less likely because science has advances. But for whatever reason, let's say she is cheating on him. She goes and contracts HIV from another man, right? Maybe she herself is down low and she has sex with a lesbian who has previously also is HIV positive. I don't know, somehow, some way. The chances are very minimum there. But you don't want to say never, right? Again, if there's a cut or blood to blood. But mostly what happens, at least from my experience, from talking to women in the community, I've worked in a couple different African countries too. Okay, Kenya and Ghana. I volunteered for the Ghana AIDS Commission when I was there in 2008. What tends to happen sometimes is the man, again, will sleep with other women who maybe these women will pass it on to him. That possibly. But again, women transferring it to men can be, it's low risk because again, you have to have enough viral load to give it to him. Not unlikely, but low risk. So sometimes he has gotten it from somewhere. You have to also consider that sometimes these men who claim to not be gay might still be having gay sex. I don't mind. I think that's okay. I think you need to work through that within your marriage. Don't cheat on your wife. But to me, I don't think that is a sin. This is where me and the Christians and we part ways. They think I don't think it's a sin. So if you're doing that I'm minding my own business. I'm not in your relationship. But sometimes these men cannot be out, right, for whatever reason, including maybe their religion, or they just really are fighting demons, is what they might say sometimes. Maybe they've gone to conversion therapy. I know folks who've gone to them, right? Maybe they went through conversion therapy and were saved, and now they don't have sex with men anymore. But sometimes men have sex with men, and the chances that they might wear a condom might be minimal. Because again, if you are on PrEP, you can a gay man can have sex with another gay man and be HIV positive, and the chances that he will pass it on are still 0 to none if he is on PrEP and on medication and his viral load is low. So this is why, again, within the gay community, they're organizing. A lot of gay folks know or have to have these conversations. So you can have as much sex as you want, even as an HIV positive person, right? You can be a HIV positive man and still have unprotected sex without a condom, and still the chances of passing it on is very limited. But a lot of straight men who have sex with men are usually not taking PrEP. They usually don't even want to talk about it. They're not gay. Why would they need PrEP? They don't have HIV. And then they sometimes don't even get tested, so they don't know their status themselves. They can have HIV, but they don't want to know. Or the doctors have told them and they're still in denial. They don't have HIV. If you've ever watched any of the MTV Sugar series, they talk about these different conversations. That's where I first learned about Lupita Nyong'o. My cat's name is Ayira. My red orange cat, her name is Ayira. That's because I loved, that was Lupita Nyong'o's character's name in MTV Sugar, the Kenya version. Right? That is an HIV prevention awareness series that Lupita did. And you see these themes there. The sugar mamas, the sugar babies. I think one of them, the man is, he is married and he gets it and he passes it on to his wife. So in those cases, if you do contract HIV, you can't tell your wife that. You can, but if you're already lying in general about everything in life, why would you, now you're going to respect her enough to tell her that you might be HIV positive? So sometimes what might happen is a man will transmit it to his wife and she gets HIV, even though she's a straight woman, even though maybe she's never stepped out of her marriage, even though she's not having sex with anybody else, she still becomes HIV positive because she got it from her husband, who she assumed was faithful, so she didn't need to wear a condom because she's married. MTV Sugar, the one of the Nigerian series talks on this, right? So it's black women. Because a lot of these gay men in the community are probably on PrEP and or their viral loads are low because they're on medication. The person doesn't have any agency. If thankfully she gets tested and she realizes, then she can do something about it. But imagine somebody, if another woman never also goes to the doctor. She gets sick, she doesn't know why she's sick. She can never have the opportunity to take medication. Taking medication can prolong your life. That is what prolongs your life. You need to be on daily medication. It's not a one-time thing. HIV medication is a daily thing for the rest of your life. And that can prolong your life. But if you don't tell somebody that I have a possible risk of passing HIV to you, they can't make that informed decision. Respect people enough to make informed decisions. Oh, I'm marrying a man that likes to also have sex with other men. I'm about that life. Matter of fact, give me that lavender wedding. That's what I've seen. I'm okay. At least I know what I'm working with. Thank you for being honest. That gay man who's out is being honest about who he is. Down low men cannot be honest. Again, people are always like, especially the other gay men are like, be careful, this is dangerous because you're making it look like all homophobic men are gay, and all that then makes gay men look like, right, bad people, and it's a terrible homophobic narrative. It is. And also, we do know that there are homophobic men who are down low. And we still have to be able to honestly talk about that without being like, oh, that's homophobic. We have to talk about it because they're also putting some of our lives at risk because they're not telling us the truth about what's going on. And maybe we don't need to know. You don't need to out anybody, but let me make an informed decision. Be honest enough to tell me the truth about who and what you are. And this is the risk of making HIV a gay disease. Because straight couples cannot have conversations that could save their lives or prolong their lives. We need to normalize more straight people talking about HIV. 71.5% of new HIV is black women. 71.5%? We make up less than 5% of the population. How are we the ones that are... Because people don't respect us enough to tell us the truth? We're trapped in marriages where we might not be making great decisions. Again, there's a whole lot of so many different reasons, right? All else to say is HIV is not a moral disease. It's not a sin from God. It is a public health issue. Just like coronavirus was a public health issue. Just like it spread that way. This way is through blood. HIV, again, before I go, let me remind you, an immunodeficiency virus. It's a virus, just like coronavirus was a virus, right? You can get it through the bloodstream, so using needles. Again, labor and delivery, if the mother is HIV positive, Again, if the viral load is low, she's on medication, she's worked with her doctor, there are chances she could still have a safe delivery without passing it on to the child. HIV is also found in vaginal and fluid and semen, okay? Meaning if a male ejaculates, the semen can have HIV in there. If a woman squirts, for instance, there could be HIV in there. In her fluids, HIV can be found. In male semen, HIV can be found. HIV can also be found in anal fluids as well too. Okay, so this is why there is also a risk of passing HIV on. If you are HIV positive, you're having unprotected sex with another man, there's a cut or abrasion, the chances that the HIV can get into their bloodstream through the semen and the anal fluids. Okay, so you cannot get it from kissing somebody, you cannot get it from touching somebody, you cannot get it from okay. Get tested. If you get tested, you'll know your status. You can go to any of these places. Public Health, Ottawa Public Health will do tests for you. ACHO will do, ACHO in Ottawa is the AIDS Committee of Ottawa, also does this. Find out what it looks like in your region. Get tested. They do the blood work. Then there's a lab testing. Your results are given. If you are HIV positive, then they go through forms. Forms are analyzed to understand newly diagnosed HIV, right? So you're on medication. It can prolong your life, but it is something that there are debates right now. Not debates. I'm not going to get into the cures because that I have to look up. To be honest with you, I have not been keeping up with HIV research, right? I've shifted more to the emotions and the art. So professionally, I have not been keeping up with that. So I'm not going to get into that here. As well as in Ghana, what are the rates there? Ghana AIDS Commission. Let's go see their 2025 report, because I have not been keeping up with it either. But the Ghana AIDS Commission, these places are very necessary, right? They are the ones that are doing the work of the public health. Oh, the website is under construction. Why is the Ghana AIDS Commission website under construction? It says, thank you for visiting Ghana AIDS Commission website. We're currently working hard to bring you a brand new online experience. So the website is down. I wanted to see if I can find some Ghanaian rates, statistics to share, because I'm not up to date as well too, right? But I just wanted to say that message, it might seem like if you are a Christian or a Muslim, or if you are anti-LGBTQ, yes, don't give them funding. But it's also, this is affecting the straight community as well too. If not anything, some of the highest rates, right? Here in Canada and Ontario, 71.5% of us make up the new diagnosis. So something is happening. HIV is here in our communities. Whether you pretend you'll never get it or not, it's there. And I need Ghanaian women to understand that it might be your husband bringing home to you. And remember, sometimes these men, again, grand generalizations, but if you're trying to hide that life, you tend to be they're not only cheating on their wives with men, they're having sex with a lot of other women, which is also why it spreads quickly. Because they're having sex with multiple women and their wives and men. They're just busy, right? Great, I don't have a sex life, so more kudos to you. I'm not shaming that. But make informed decisions. Take PrEP. Go on PrEP. I think this talks about PrEP. Yeah. And PEP, right? Have access to PEP as well too. Anyways, so that's all. HIV prevention is a public health issue. Sexual health awareness is a public health issue. This is why you need to be able to teach kids about sexual health education so they can hopefully prevent it. Everybody's so worried sometimes about like pregnancy, not getting pregnant, that sometimes that then can become such a dangerous thing when same-sex couples on both sides are getting together, right? Oh, because there's no risk of pregnancy, we don't need to have barriers. We're the same-sex couple, partner, please still consider barriers, right? I saw Brandon Goodman posted a story a couple days ago that was talking about testing and gonorrhea and sexual health, sexual infections and stuff. And they're talking about, you know, how most people don't wear a condom for fellatio, which would be like a blowjob, right? And that's very true. A lot of people don't. But for me, as an educator, it's also important to let people know that if you do want to take that preventative measure, normalize wearing condoms to get blowjobs. Please normalize that. From a sexual health, public health perspective, please normalize that. There are flavored condoms. There are ways around it. It's not going to taste the same. But again, if this person has an infection that can pass on to you, put a condom on. Make it taste like strawberries. Matter of fact, maybe mango pineapple. And you can still give them a blowjob. Right? Again, oh my God, look at what she's talking about in public. Grow up. Grow up. If it's happening, it's happening. I have to, as an educator, let you know how to make it more safe. And the only way to let you know how to make it more safe is to talk about it. So you're not running off to porn thinking that porn is a real deal. Wrap it up if you need to. Find ways to still make it sexy. Please talk about sex. Please get tested. Please stop pretending that down low men is not a thing and talking about it makes you homophobic. Please realize also women could be down low as well too. Please know that any and all of us can carry HIV. Are there some communities that might be more high risk? Yes, including straight women. It's not just a gay, quote unquote, gay disease. It's getting the straight girls. Sam George, Miss Yakum, why? Who named the Okan Yakum? I'm gonna keep a Q in public, but like Yakum, shut up. What are you talking about? This is very dangerous messaging. Bye bye.